I might not be the best stand-up comedian. Okay, real talk. I might not be the best stand-up comedian, but I might be the funniest human being.
Really, you think that?
No, but I'm top 5.
Top 5 funniest humans
ever
on the planet.
Including dead ones.
Welcome to the podcast. Funniest human being on the podcast on the fucking planet.
That's such
I'm really happy to have you here. That's amazing, considering that this is a comedy podcast.
Well, that's perfect for you. That's gonna work out perfectly.
That's great.
God, if you bomb now at any point on this podcast, it's gonna hurt.
Okay. The reality is I was telling Ariel in the car, I'm really out of it right now, so I'm hoping to contribute. But the fact that was the starting clip. Let's fucking go, man.
Let's go.
Let's go.
The bar has been set, and I mean, if this isn't the funniest podcast I've ever done, then or anybody's ever done.
Well, how about that? Let's go.
Don't put that pressure on me. No. That's not fair. I didn't say that.
How long have you been doing this podcast for?
Probably a little over a year now.
Over a year, and have you been doing it like as you went and you tour? Is it one of those things, or is it Toronto based?
I honestly just do it with whoever, and there's no schedule. It's just like, hey, do you want to do the podcast?
So I'm not going to say I'm the funniest person ever, but we might be the funniest person who's ever been on this podcast.
It's a weird game to play.
Weird start. That's how we started.
You know what I am excited about though? I'm gonna have like some actual scientists on the podcast next week. Actually, this week.
No, I forgot that you're smart.
Yeah,
I didn't forget. I knew, but I forgot at the forefront.
I truly just want to talk to fucking whoever. You know what I mean? It's like a comedy podcast, but I just want to talk to interesting people.
Can I ask you a question? What were your electives in school?
What?
Your electives.
My electives?
Yeah.
In university, when I took a breadth course, I took Russian for native speakers.
See, that was my question. Did you take something that would have been easy, or did you take something? So you took Russian because you speak Russian?
Yeah, but it was not. I thought it would be easy.
Your face was great.
Yeah, I thought it would be easy, but it was the hardest fucking. Because the Russian alphabet is Cyrillic. It's not like A B C D. It's fucking. It looks like alien scripture. You know what I mean? So. And I didn't really learn. I speak Russian very well, but I never went to like Russian school, so I never learned how to read or write.
Oh shit! So you're self-taught Russian, homeschool Russian.
Which is because my grandmas only spoke Russian, and while my parents were at work, they raised me, so I had no other choice. Russian was my first language.
Did you speak Russian with an accent?
Yeah, I think I have an accent in Russian. Dude, when I was in the States, people were telling me I sound Canadian as fuck, and it was getting in my head.
You do sound Canadian as fuck.
Okay,
I noticed that last feedback when you were doing your joke. You're like, oh, hey, bud, Django and Jane.
You don't like being Canadian?
No, I don't mind being Canadian. And I
thought you were like proudly Canadian.
I am pretty proudly Canadian, especially now. From
your voice and your accent, I thought you were proud to be Canadian.
Yeah. I am proud to be Canadian. So what's up, guys? This is Brandon. This is Ariel. And we're here.
I said I'm the funniest guy ever. I said I'm the funniest guy ever, and now no matter how funny I am, like throughout the podcast already, I'm pretty funny, and I look at Ariel for approval, but because I said it, he's not going to give me anything. So we're already because you were like, oh, I took Russian, and I was like, yeah, man, your face looked like you were Ukrainian, and I thought it was so funny. I looked at you, and you were just like not even looking at me. I'm like, oh, this is going to be this.
I was trying to let him answer the 300 questions.
What was the other elective? No, I'm still the same question.
He was introing the pod. Let the man finish.
Anthropology was the other elective.
Did you like anthropology?
No, I fucking hated it. I fucking hate it. I don't like essays. But yeah, welcome to the pod. Speaking of, actually, the intro's done. The intro's done. We're done.
That was the intro.
Yeah.
Brandon Ariel. Nobody knows who we are. Just Brandon Ariel.
Do your own research.
Look at Backroom. Actually, you can't see Backroom, but Backroom Comedy Club.
That's so
funny. That's where we're sitting right now.
That's where we're sitting right now. These guys they're comedians, and then they're owners of the club as well. We're gonna do a 2020 show. Alex Dewitt and I on April 24th. Which is a Thursday, so come through to that.
Get your tickets.
What's a 2020 show, guys?
A 2020 show is a co-headline series that we created, where we showcase acts doing 20 minutes, because 20 minutes is like the start of something, right? It's like, oh, this is the start of my new headline set, or or
my first 20,
or it's my first 20, or some people haven't done 20 in a club, or it depends. We're only picking people who are showing us talent, skill set. We believe in these acts. We
call it the belief system behind the scenes.
Yeah. As bookers, it's like as people who watch a lot of stand-up here, it's like, no, these are the people who are taking it serious and can make it happen.
20 minutes is a good amount of time. I like that choice. Why did you guys choose 20 minutes?
Honestly, I used to run this show back in the day with a different comedian before I had the club, and it was
about the Ringo Starr. He brought me in. I'm like Travis Barker. I'm like the guy you bring in once you're like already ready to be the best.
Because you're the funniest person.
Because I'm already there.
Because he's the funniest person.
Alive. And dead.
Not only in this basement, but alive.
And or dead. If you're going to quote me properly. I'm the funniest person alive and or deceased.
Oh my God. Okay.
So not yet born. Someone
that I don't know.
Someone funnier is coming.
Well, evolution.
In the
you would
multiverse.
assume. Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so I used to run the show, and the idea was to give comics in our peer group who weren't getting the opportunities for 20 minutes. Because that's where it goes. It goes, you grind, then you get your first 20 in a club, then you host, then you headline, right? That's how it kind of was the system when I was coming up. And now the system's changed. But I was like, the core of doing a 20 is still important.
I didn't know that. I thought we did it because our album, we're about to make a bunch of micro albums over the next whatever. And this is our format. When we go on tour, we do a little longer, but this is our format. Like, we do at least, like, it depends on openers, but we do at least 20 co-headline, and then we close together, like,
for at least
doubles.
For 20, right?
So it's just like, this was the format that we had fun doing. And then when Ariel, we did a show with, you know who she is, but for your audience, Jess Rosenberg. And we really believed in her. And she ended up being like, guys, I don't know what I'm capable of. And not only did she sell out the room by herself and didn't need our help, she was fire. It was an hour, but it was like, look what people are capable of.
Yeah, she did 40.
You know? But it was like, it was one of those things where it was like, we believed in her. We told her we believed in her. We obviously had the intent to help her sell tickets.
Yeah, we made content.
We helped. We did.
We made marketing materials for it. Like, you know, it's
our favorite sketch today, that Seinfeld sketch. Do you ever see that one?
I think
that's like my favorite. You can find it.
Yeah,
Matt will leave it in the comments.
Sure, I'll leave it in the
this is so
link.
Funny. Yeah, also our album though we have. I'm just.
but it's a good concept because longer sets, when we're talking anything over 10 minutes essentially, or even anything over 5 minutes, I would classify in Toronto as a longer set because like starting out here and kind of growing. I've only been doing it for 2 and a bit years, but like I find that personally the only times I get those longer sets is when I do my own shows, like out of town, like small town Ontario shows that I'm doing and headlining, and they have been so beneficial to me to really see where I'm at.
Yeah.
Right.
Longer sets reveal the cracks in the armor.
Right.
For sure.
Right. And in the best way possible because you know, like, okay, you know what your actual good stuff is, and then you're like, yeah, I have this much material. It's like the classic, like, you know, you do a show and then you talk to an audience member and they're like, yeah, I've been writing. I probably have like 10 minutes of material, and you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
How many times have you done it? Oh, I've never done it really, but
what helps? Like we did. I was fortunate last year to headline a big club, and because of the way we run it here in the gym format we run here, I do like 10, 15 at most. So we went and I did the headline set. I asked Ariel for honest feedback, and he's like, honestly, it was really good, but instead of looking like a 40-minute set, it looked like 4 separate 10-minute sets. Right. So a beautiful thing about a 20-minute set is you can now gauge, like, once you get going, you can do 10. You can probably even do 20. But it's that whole, like, in your head, like, I recommend to anyone who's about to do a longer set, try to at least get, like, if you're going to do a 20, get a 10 out. If you're going to do a 40, do a 20, where you can get your footing before you go. I've done 40s in the past, but this is the first time I took it extremely seriously, being the funniest person alive. I did it when I wasn't the funniest person alive yet, but being that guy now, I had to take it a little more seriously. So the reality of it is the reason we do this format is that. And it's like, the cool thing is when you curate lineups is when you get to partner people up. That's fun too. Because it's not only one person we believe in, it's someone else we believe in. And then because of the double attribute, it's like, well, can they have fun together? So with you, it's like, not only is it cool that you and Alex are friends, it's just one of those things where it's, are you and Alex friends?
We're
the way
friends.
you responded.
We have like a little bit of a rivalry going, but we're friends. I love the guy.
Is it because you're both internet famous?
No, it's not. He's definitely not even close to being internet famous. And he has what, like, I don't know, a couple followers, whatever. It's getting to his head quick though. It's getting to his head quick.
I don't know, man. We've been doing comedy.
Dude, we have no followers.
Compared to you guys,
Alex,
I've been doing this 12 years. I barely have 2,000 followers.
I love Alex.
But this is your second or third account.
We just did a show in Delhi, Ontario last weekend, and
the home of comedy.
The home of comedy.
That's where comedy is born and bred.
Yeah, those not paying attention. Stand-up comedy was actually founded in Delhi,
Ontario. Believe it or not, there's a plaque there that says comedy was founded here.
Sorry. Did I say born? I meant comedy died.
You were born there. No. The greatest comedian in the world.
I'm actually not from Delhi. I know, surprisingly enough, not from. That's funny because I wanted to call it back, but I was like, oh, it's too early to call it back.
He's done the podcast a bunch, and we've done some. So yeah, severely autistic, but that makes him funny.
He used to do a
fun.
podcast that was What's Wrong with Alex DeWitt, and whenever I would do a show with him, he would always get introduced like, this guy has a podcast, what's wrong? And then I'd go up and be like, it's autism.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what's. I've known him for a long time. I've known Alex for like one of the longest people in comedy. I think what he does is special because you don't see people doing impressions. Like I don't know if he does them on stage, but his impressions are great. And the way he does them is he doesn't do impressions you'll hear everyone do. We have a friend that does a great Donald Trump. You bring it up in conversation, everyone's like, you hear Trump, and then he impresses them, but you never hear a Leonardo DiCaprio. You don't often hear a Jordan Peterson. Like it's just it's just great. And I'm glad to see Alex is one of those guys. Again, I've known him for a long time that works really hard, and it's nice to see.
And it started clicking, which is good. It's nice to see that in other acts, because as long as we've been doing it, other people have also been at it, and you're like, there's that air in stand-up. I'm sure you've picked up on it, Matt, where people are like, when is this going to pay off?
Oh yeah.
That's when people get jaded too, where it's just like,
it's like constantly in the air of Toronto stand-up. It's like, I need this to work, and it's like, okay,
yeah, man, Toronto stand-up.
Well, Ariel taught me this. It's like your art's not going to fix your life. So no matter how good it goes on stage, it's never going to fix off stage, and that goes for screenwriting, music. Like no matter how great your art or craft is,
it can be one of the tools you use to get your life together, but it's not going to fix it.
It's not or it could be the anchor behind it, but it's not gonna. It's not. You can now be the funniest person in the world, and your actual life isn't. Is falling
What
apart.
are you trying to fix?
I don't know, man. I'm trying to fix.
Awesome question.
Who
hurts you, mom or dad?
What?
Who hurts you, mom, dad, or both?
Oh God, both with different tools.
Different tools.
Yeah, different tools, verbally and physically.
This just got sad.
Yeah.
No, it got real.
No, but so I think that.
So if I do this, you'd get triggered.
Yeah, that's why I learned how to fight, bro. They put me into MMA so that I learned how to defend myself against them.
Too weak.
Yeah. They be okay. Anyway,
about Russian families, so it's physical and verbal abuse is just standard in a Russian household.
It's so standard. Yeah,
you're Eastern European. You're tough as fuck. Like that's how it goes.
Yeah. That's how it is, man. That's how. And we were just talking about how there's a UFC fighter here the other day, and it really puts into perspective how what we do is really gay.
Yeah, soft.
It was actually really funny. I can't remember where I think this was just last month. I was at an open mic, and then it was a horrible open mic, and I was there with a couple of my buddies who are really funny, and we were just fucking around. And then one of my buddies, before he goes up, we're like 1, 2, 3 on the open mic, the list. He's like, hey, watch this. He goes up, bombs, and I'm like, oh yeah? This is how it's done. I go up, I bomb, and then the third guy's like, now watch that, and then he bombs, and it's like it's really funny when people do that with comedy because it like at the end of the day, what we're doing is super. It's like artsy performance art.
Ooh,
I love it when you see those like it's almost like a gimmick now. Like the really cool special intro.
Yeah,
it's like dude, you're doing a performing art.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
We're like this close to interpretive dance.
Yeah,
this close.
It's funny that you called it gay because it's just like if you look at it as happy or like self-indulgent or like it's very gay stand-up. But if you look at it as like touching dudes and like rolling around,
MMA is gay.
I mean, jiu-jitsu is
depends on the definition
in your act.
Yeah, now we're exactly
that's in his ass, and I was like, whoa, how MMA are we right now?
How MMA are we? No, it's literally gay, but it's like
It's weird as a promoter now, or not even a promoter, but as an owner, because like back in the day, shows like that, like with us, you always want to test each other, even if it's the biggest bomb or who's gonna have the biggest laugh or whatever that is. But now that we're the owners, like if you guys did that shit here, we'd be so mad.
Not at an open mic.
Wait,
that's why. No, if it was like 3 back-to-back bombs.
Yeah, 3 back-to-back bombs.
We would pull the first guy aside.
Oh, it wasn't. Everybody was bombing.
Again, it's just a game. It's just now.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that now that we're the owners.
We were making fun of that in that like everybody was doing well, and we were like, hey, watch this. And it's like, and then I came back and the guy's like, dude, how did you do that? That was amazing. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you're making the best of a shitty situation.
Yeah.
I just kind of, again, I missed those days.
What we used to do at mics to make, when we knew the mic was going to be bad, we would play a riff game where it's like we would write each other's sets for each other based off the conversations we'd been having and the things that made us laugh. Like, hey, I heard you talk about this and this, and it got really good laughs, right? And off stage, so then we would write it, and you weren't allowed to look at your set list until you were on stage.
Yeah.
And then it just made open mic so much better.
I think we should turn one night a week into that.
That's what Sundays.
Yeah,
well, yeah, no one's ever. I guess the audience is here.
Yeah.
Wait, what is Sundays?
Sundays 8 is our all improvised stand-up show, the made-up show.
I want to do that one.
Come by.
Hell yeah, I will come by. Cause like there's a lot of, I don't know. So when I was in Austin, I had the pleasure of meeting JJ Lieberman.
Oh yeah,
that was your first time meeting JJ.
It was first time meeting JJ, and we actually got pretty close because we were like every Monday you spend fucking 3 hours at the Kill Tony sign up with talking to whoever. So for like 4 weeks in a row, I was talking to him for 3 hours.
Yeah, it's because you're a cute, young looking dude.
Yeah, and he wanted to fuck me for sure.
For sure, or at least watch you do stuff.
Dude, the first thing I was at a Super Bowl party at at a comedian's house, and then he came in. And then he's like, who's this guy? I'm like, who are you? He's like, I'm JJ, I'm Matt. And then the first thing that came out of his mouth, he's like, you're very effeminate. And that stuck with me until I
don't find you very effeminate.
That's the first thing he said to me.
Maybe androgynous.
Yeah.
But for JJ, all jokes aside and
to
whatever.
JJ, sure.
If this is a pod and it's going to be kept forever in time, JJ's fucking hilarious.
Dude, and that's what I was saying.
We can make jokes and talk shit all we want. JJ, when it comes to like, you can't ever teach stand-up. Sorry, you can teach stand-up, you can't teach funny.
Yeah.
JJ is so funny.
So where I was going with this was the first time I talked to him, he scared the shit out of me, and I was like, I'm not talking to that guy anymore. But as I got to know him, and with him, you don't know where the bit starts and the bit ends and the person starts kind of thing. You know what I mean? And
he's a pervert?
Yeah, sure. And as I got to know him, I really started to like him because he was like, he was just funny.
He's real.
He's real.
He's not going to like
funny.
hide back.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. He's one of those guys that when I moved to Toronto or even would visit Toronto, like I started comedy before him.
Yeah.
And like, there's one point we were at like a bachelor party. I ended up, the owner of the corner let me, he just asked if I wanted to stick around. It was his brother's bachelor party. So I stuck around. It was fun. I was with a bunch of comics I really respected. They ended up having a buffet and I was the first in line. And I don't know if it was like I was waiting for salad dressing or I just didn't start the buffet yet. I was just waiting. And JJ's like, hey, this isn't your comedy career. Like, let's get it started. You know? But it was just like those little digs were just like, the only way you're ever going to level up is to surround yourself with dudes like that. JJ is old school comedy.
He's funny.
When you hear stories about the
yeah.
Boston scene, you hear things about Patrice or like those guys, JJ's got to be the closest thing we had.
But it took a long time.
It took a long time, and it took everything.
For sure.
And it took everything.
So
he fucking.
Why I even brought this up is because he was telling me how fucking. Because I hear
he
comedians.
calls us the hack pack.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was telling me like half the time he was telling me, dude, like you got to get out of Toronto, no funny people there, whatever, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay. And then he was telling me how. And I've heard so many comedians say, you know, Toronto was so good before, like, whatever, like, you know, in 2015, this and that. And he was telling me he was doing, like...
the scene's good now. Don't let these people jade you.
It's different.
There's good
He was telling me he was doing 20 spots a week at some point in Toronto.
The scene.
But he was making that happen.
Yeah.
And it was doable. 100% it was doable. But I'm saying that, like, someone like JJ gets it. JJ gets that, like, I'm only funny if I go out and do every set. Cool story about JJ, and I don't know if he appreciates me talking about this. Yeah. JJ is one of the few guys that, like, signed by Yuck Yucks, was told, hey, you can't do this other comedy club. But because he wants the sets, or he's a maniac, it's probably a little bit of both.
He doesn't give a shit.
Doesn't give a fuck. Doesn't listen to anyone. Yeah. Just fucking, and like, that's how you get better. And I'm not saying don't, like, by disrespecting the authority, but the fact that he understood, like, I'm not in Toronto forever. It doesn't matter what Canada thinks of me or the bookers in Canada. I'm going to just grind and grind and grind and get there.
Dude, he gave me so much perspective. Just like I said, like he scared me at first, but then as I got to know him, I appreciated it so much because
like such a funny like just all of that. That's so funny.
No, absolutely, because he was like he's so experienced. He's doing well now. He's funny too. I saw him like crushing a couple of times. I'm like, okay, this is where it's at, and completely in a completely different way. Because like the shit there's a reason he scared me at first.
He's authentic.
The shit that
he's authentically him, and that's where we thrive.
But like
he's an ex-jock, you know. He's like,
and normally the stuff that he talks about, I'd be like, okay, like it's just disgusting. It's like shock humor. But then he made it so he's
making it personal.
Exactly.
It's shock value, sure, but like when you hang out with JJ, that's him.
He's just so funny.
He's not trying to put on a shocking. Like I'm dealing with this myself right now. Yeah, even the funniest people in the world deal with things, but I'm dealing with myself that ask Ariel whenever I write a new joke. It has to be like gross or wrong. Like I have to always try to push or be edgy, and it's like whatever it is. When I catch myself off stage talking, same thing. I go there. And with JJ, like this is hilarious because regardless of how he feels about us or how we make jokes, like think of it like WWF, WCW. It's like I would love on camera to be like fuck JJ and start a fake beef, but the reality is when his Instagram started taking off, we were so proud. When I talk to other people, it's like, oh shit, this guy works really hard. He found that niche for him. He found his lane, and it's working. And then that means, and like maybe it's selfish, but when you see someone like that succeed, you're like, he gets to lay the groundwork, so if we get to keep working hard, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely,
you know?
Absolutely. And then yeah, just being there in a different scene was also refreshing, because like you don't want to get too like at the end of the day you want to be a working comic, which means you're going like you have a home base, but you're doing shows. You don't make money in your.
That's not how we do it, bro. We didn't go on tour. We started a Canadian tour. We were lucky enough. We went all across Canada. We've had some success. Ariel's going to Denver soon. We are getting, like, again, if you're watching Government, he's visiting his mom and he's doing no paid spot. It's free. But the reality of it is that like we picked Comedy Club. Right. We picked, instead of going around every weekend and grinding our dicks off, we have a different
So
grind.
let's talk about that a little bit. How has it been juggling the life of a comedian / booker / comedy club owner? Because that's a perspective that...
I've been doing it the whole time.
Yeah.
Because I was a music booker before.
Right.
And tour manager for bands. And when I moved to Canada, I needed a job. So I started working for Yuck Yucks as a booker. Because I was a booker. So it like just kind of made sense. And so I've been balancing the two worlds the whole time. They sometimes go well and sometimes they clash.
They clash, yeah.
You learn day one as a comedian where it's like, shit, if I want to make some real money off this, I'm going to have to do my own shows. Where it's like, whatever we're going to have different opinions as your comic and we're a producer on why Canadian comedy is screwed. And maybe we get into that later. But the reality of it is like, oh man, I'm so passionately involved now in these conversations. But it's just like, for us, instead of going around and instead of fucking touring around,
instead of like going to Delhi, we were like, there's no point in us driving to Delhi.
We're not even touring, we're commuting.
Yeah,
we're going to Oakville.
We're gonna go do 20 minutes for people who barely understand us or want to see us. They're just here because there's nothing else to do in this town.
That's what it is. Yeah.
And then you're gonna start curating to start doing well in front of these people. When it's like, I heard Kyle Kinane say that on a podcast once. Because his first hour he built just in Chicago,
right?
And they were like, "Why don't you hit the road?" And he was like, "Well, because I don't want that to become the hour, right? Like I don't want it to be like through the lens of like."
Jaded, angry roan
Pemberton,
dog.
Ontario. You know what I mean? Like Pemberton, Ontario is not going to get my nuanced views on Israel, Palestine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but even if they do, what you try to go around, build a fan base, build an act. Where it's for us, it's like we're a little bit older than most people. We see things a little different. When COVID happened, we were already in comedy. We were already in all in. Ariel more so than I. But when COVID happened and they took it away, we were like, "Fuck, this is it."
Yeah.
So when we built the momentum, it's super hard to get momentum going. But like, dude, coming out of COVID, we were selling out like 125 seat outdoor shows. We had other people reaching out to us. We were at the point that like we were doing comedy 5-6 days a week in the city, and then we were now starting to go on tour, commute outside the city the other days of the week. Where in our head was just like, well, now granted, going back, we make excuses that people are just like, hey, when's your next show? And we got confusing. We would give them like 12 options where we could have looked back and been like, what's closest to you? When we started this journey, I wanted to like a GTA map where in every part of Toronto, we had like in all of the boroughs, we had shows.
Show.
Right.
So we have one in the north, one in the east, one in the west.
Yeah.
Right.
But the reality of it is permanent location. Like for us.
This just simplified it. And
I come from a background of sales. He comes from a background of graphic design.
Then I also ran the numbers. And I was like, oh.
No one's done our model.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Our model, like we're a gym, we're not a club. We're 55 seats.
Sometimes the math just makes sense.
So, exactly. Yeah, you guys. Because I remember I can't remember how long ago this was, but you guys had a Midtown location because we all lived there at the time.
Yeah, we were trying to. I was making a play for a second event space.
Yeah,
and the guy was like, basically burning money because he can't get permits.
But we wanted to trial run because we're not just going to launch now.
Exactly.
And he was like, hey, I'm paying all this stuff. I would like to get some stuff going. So he offered us his coffee shop first to like test the waters.
But what you learn and what we learn from that is like you got to focus. So like us, we couldn't run 2 clubs, 2 locations.
Can't spread yourself too thin.
Going
on.
Not yet.
With the staff, with the same, eventually we can. But you got to perfect something or at least have it running before you try.
If this place was packed every night of the week, we could do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's just that
you
makes
hear
a lot of sense.
Toronto, come pack this place out every night of the week.
Pack back room.
Just again, that's what there's all different models for people, and I'm sure we're not the guys, but like when we opened the club, it was around the Toronto boom when like the Lab was starting, Keys was starting. This is a new age, but these are a new age of like 55 seat, 60 venues. Like for us, when you do shows, sure, you do the best shows are 30 seat venues, 50 seat venues, but you don't. That's usually like a restaurant that you're there at, a jazz bar that you're there at. So our business model, and Ariel pitched it to me, it's like. It's where we are now, but we get people ready for the bigger stage. You've seen it. No one, unless it's your own night of the week, no one gets more than 10, 20, 15 minutes. You know, it's us. Everyone else does 10, 7. So it's like with this whole concept is like, we're a gym. We're 55, 60 seats.
We're here
like,
for you to
we're intimate seating. This isn't, you can't sit here and not be seen.
Yeah.
You know?
And I felt that when I went to Austin too, because it's like a pretty booming scene now with some big clubs, but what people don't realize is that like, oh yeah, like the industry is in Austin. It's really in one place in Austin. The industry is at the mothership, right? But around that, there has been built a whole scene of like, there's East Austin Comedy Club that I did, which I would say is the Austin version of Backroom.
Sick.
Which is really cool. It's
reach out. We'll
East
do
Austin
promo.
Yeah. Really cool spot, run by comedians, for comedians kind of thing. Same vibe, right?
I would like it on the record. We don't run this for comedians.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, things have changed in the business plan. Now we're a development center. We understand what it's like to go from open micer to amateur, amateur to semi-pro, semi-pro to pro. It all depends on the advice you want to be listened to and how you take it. But the reality is like, we get that you need stage time to be better comics. We opened a club for us to get stage time.
Right.
When the rest of the world is running around trying to get their hour to 3 hours a week, we got ours. Ours just comes with a different stress. I don't want to perform in front of 6 people. Because now if I bomb on stage and I'm bombing as the producer and I go home to my girlfriend and she's like, why aren't you home? And now I'm bombing at home. It's like, I don't need that. You know, I don't need like where I need now, and Ariel's hilarious when he's like, yeah, Toronto, come out. But what we've done now, like we've built something where it's hard. Toronto's a little harder than most places.
Yeah, for sure. What do you guys think about? I remember when you were talking earlier, Ariel. You said like the industry now has changed versus what it was back then. What do you think the difference is? What was it back then? What is it now?
Well, there are no pods.
Yeah, there weren't.
There were pods starting.
I mean, pods are when did Tom Green have his whole podcast?
That's different. That's not a pod. That's
or
like,
whatever.
I see what you're saying. Those have been around forever. But if you look at like the Joe Rogan experience or like Shane and fucking Matt, or you look at like the Patreon era, that changed some things because now comedians didn't have to rely on stage time to get money. People could literally just, and like COVID, I didn't do fucking shows online. I'm not putting it down. I read people's energy. I need to be in a room. I can't just be watching my computer lag trying to get off on laughs. I need like, I don't do comedy, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm here for the energy.
I'm going to say a lot of it changed COVID. COVID was like,
so COVID changed the scene, but how the scene actually changed was we went from 3 clubs to 7 clubs, which then dilutes bar shows. So now there's less bar shows. There were way more bar shows. There were so many bar shows.
Back in the day, open mics weren't terrible. We would actually, when we started comedy, and I can't speak for Toronto,
some of them
but
were
we
real
would
bad.
like, no, but for the most part, you would watch each other. You would have a little bit of audience of comedy fans. Like people would come every week.
Yeah.
You would get your spots. I'm from Hamilton. There was only 15 of us. We all got spots every night. Sure, we didn't get the hour a week, but from fucking Monday to Friday until the weekend, unless I came to Toronto and got booked, I was able to do a spot every night of the week. That changed. That changed because
you still can do that though.
Yeah,
but you got to work.
Yeah,
that's all.
The work's still there. It's
just run different. Like when we started, and this is going to sound weird. People, oh man, it's always been super cliquey, and people have always booked their friends. But what would happen, and I'm sure this happens, is you go to an open mic, you kill. Someone new comes up to you, and they're like, "Hey, you're really good. Come do my show." It wasn't so much like, "Hey, every night of the week, it's only me and my friends." It's like, "Hey, we're gonna like every show tried its best to be different."
Well, I think by more clubs being the focus now of the scene, we have a variety of clubs. You can go, there's a club for you and your taste of stand-up.
Yeah.
But by doing that, comics focus on their attention on trying to get in with the clubs, try and get better quality stage time.
Absolutely.
And less are trying to produce and take the risks of running a successful show and trying to get it. Some are, but in our era, we also had way more psychopaths around who were producing. So you had Tuesday night.
Oh,
we
man,
had like all night shows.
We had a guy who would run literally from like 5 p.m. until last call.
It started at 6 p.m. until 2
in the morning.
It was just an all-running night.
And he would try to put everyone on. That was a guy, four comics. And that's what I tried to say before
like
with like the open mics. And we make jokes to ourselves at the club. And I'll tell people, if you see a bar having an open mic, within fucking 3 months, that bar's closed. Where back in the day, if a bar had an open mic, it was like that bar was giving the comics $600 to buy back drink tickets or giving everyone like it wasn't the same. There was a market and there was value before. Now I saw it when I started. Louis C.K. was getting really big. People were talking about how like comedy became cool. Fuck, since Kill Tony, comedy's the coolest thing ever.
It is like, very cool.
People think like I watch Kill Tony every week. I'm not trying to start shit. I'm just trying to I'm a big fan. And to see you on it did warm my heart. But the reality of it is like you see first timers go up and they're like, oh, my life's gonna change tonight. And it's like, dude, like you gotta your first time isn't meant for thousands of people. Your first time like
should be in front of 4 of your friends and the 8 people at the show who bought tickets.
And and it's not a dig towards anyone, and there are genuinely funny people. It's just like that's the reality of it now, is that people think, and even you see it at the comedy club. We get emails and phone calls from people that are like, oh yeah, like once we give them that 5 minutes, their bills are paid, their girlfriend doesn't hate them anymore.
Then, sorry, just to wrap, the final thing that made the scene real change is that people are ahead of the curve. The new wave of comics are ahead of the curve. So when I was 2.5 years in, 3 years in, I took my beatings from pros because I wasn't that good. But now we're watching 2-year comics, 3-year comics catch up like
quickly.
Crazy.
Like they understand. I don't know if it's the brain. If you watch that show on Netflix, that movie, it was called Headliners. It's like Chappelle and Kevin Hart. They talk about there's this age group rap where you're like between the ages of 21 and 23, you can figure shit out super quick, and at 23 you can get it. But for us, it's like what's your new joke? Took us 12 years to be fucking
12
funny.
Years to get
now
good.
We're funny.
Now I'm good. Where are the people?
But for like your generation, look at like shout out Greg Pallone. Dude's been doing this shit for God knows how long. Fucking Jawallet, Barnwani.
Yourself.
You know?
It's just
how are you guys good this
You guys
quick?
have jumped to where we were at maybe 5 years in, 6 years in. So because of that, what that breeds is, unfortunately, it brings this, and I don't have a better word, so I don't mean it in a negative connotation, but there's this air of like, no, we know we're good.
Yeah.
Right? We are good. So where is our stage time?
And
the problem is there's just not enough stage time to fill that demand. And so then what that does is it puts a leaning pressure on the scene. Right? People are like, well, why am I not getting what I want? Why am I not getting? And instead of being like, well, how do I make my own opportunity? And that's what we preach here. How often do you hear us go, just sell fucking tickets?
But what's weird as well,
just sell fucking tickets.
Let's go back into what you're talking about. Also, another reason, and probably like why the scene fleeted, is that a lot of the great comics from here ended up fleeing to a different, like to the States. And now where it's at is like, people nowadays, it's great we do a feedback open mic show. People are watching us. Hopefully they've seen us get better. Hopefully people recognize I'm the funniest person of all time. And it's not just me saying it. Since this podcast. But the reality of it is that like, why would you listen to me? Why would a guy 2.5 years that's done Kill Tony, that's open to JFL, why would you
have more followers than us
combined and our club? You know, like why would you
take
and we're not throwing
advice?
digs to you, but like anyone that you would take advice from is gone. The people that are left in Toronto are guys like us, and guys like us are usually not here anymore. We're now like on the road. We're road warriors. And there's like the guys at Yuck Yucks. Like, why would someone like yourself, prime example, why would you listen to anyone that's done comedy more than you? You have more followers than them. You've done bigger stages than them. Yeah, there's humility. Yeah, there's people skills. And there's vulnerability. But like the reality is like that's the new generation. Why would someone like Hannah, who got signed by Yuck Yucks after a year, listen to anyone? Why would Matt, with fucking 100+ thousand followers?
I think those people that you went over, those are all people that I admire, and I think the common denominator is that because they got so good so quickly because they're willing to listen to those 100%.
People.
Yes.
But that's
because they're willing to learn, and they're not, because anybody that's like, I'm better, that has that attitude, you're not going to get.
But when you ask why the scene died, it's just like, or why the scene's changed. It's not
dead. I
actually
think the scene is better than it was in one aspect, in that, like, you know, having more, like, there's a real heartbeat in comedy with clubs. We only had the 3. It was Absolute, Yucks, and Corner. And if you weren't in at one of them, you weren't in at any of them.
And before COVID,
so it's like, oh, cool, I can do Yuck's amateur night.
But before COVID,
Crazy.
the corner wasn't like, it was always cool to us. It's where we found each other, check the origin story, like shout out Joe. Without that, there's no us.
We love Joe.
But the reality of it is like the corner got cool like after COVID. It was selling out all the time post COVID. I remember going and barking and doing exactly what we do here, there, prior to all of this.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, and I think that there's undoubtedly like a great scene in Toronto. The problem isn't not having a scene. In fact, you know what I really like about Toronto is how many funny people there are here and how much it doesn't matter what you do here. Because I can get better in the shadows, and every time I go back to where it does matter, I'm leveled up.
Yeah, I think that's what we're really trying to push back is that you can make it matter here.
Yeah.
Like there's no the limiting belief of thinking, hey, I can't make it from Toronto. It's like, why not? We're the 4th largest city in North America. You just look at the numbers. 6 million people live here. 23 million people visit. Mm-hmm. That's every person you'd ever need for a sustainable career.
Absolutely.
Russell
the people
Peters,
are everything. All the ingredients are there. Just for some reason, the cake is not being made.
Russell Peters came last summer. 18,000 people on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
18,000 people all year, 6 nights a week. This place, 2 shows.
Well,
so it's like, well, now it's changed now, 5.
Yes.
But it's like prospectively, right? And it's just, I want to clarify what I was saying before. I wasn't saying the scene is trash. I was saying our scene is kind of like wealth. Wherever you go somewhere where there's a lot of money, there's a lot of poor people. So with comedy, whenever you see a lot of greatness, you're going to see a lot of shit. And that's just the reality of it. Some shows you're going to see open mics. Like, again, when we do our open mic and you see the thanks and the messages I get from people being like, it means the world to me that you actually listened, and then to give me feedback on top of it. So we live in a world now where comedians aren't getting...
They think we listen?
We have to listen to it. But the reality is like, we now have people being like, it's showing us the reflection of the scene. It means that people are going to open mics and the comics aren't showing each other any love. And then it also means you're going to comedy clubs like we used to, and you're not getting any feedback. So you're basically like just banging your head against a wall.
We're like, how does this work? When will it get good?
Not everyone's you. Not everyone's got a high IQ who figured out like, oh shit, I can travel. I can level up at home and go travel. I can go meet JJ, maybe suck a dick for a stage time or two. You know? Whatever you got to do. I'm not hating. I'm just stating.
And I honestly think that's another thing that you guys have going for you, obviously, because you've built this. And I don't know, I'm trying to find a better way to put this, but a lot of really funny people are also very retarded. Just having a head on your shoulders helps you so much in this business.
So it's one of those things that I think it inherently is within us because we're Jewish, but there's like a business acumen we possess that you don't see a lot of.
Right.
However, one of the things I noticed as we were bringing in all these USX that have been coming in here and headlining, they treat it like a business,
like a real job.
It's just
no one's got a toe in. They're in the water.
I'm eternally grateful that I had that lesson very early on in my career when I opened for Christina the first time. I literally asked her the question, like, what do you think? And I'm happy that I even had the sense to ask this question, but ask her, like, if the whole pie of success, whatever you call that in comedy, right? What percentage is talent and what percentage is the rest of it, like the business, the connections, the putting yourself out there. You know what I mean? And
what did she say?
Well, I thought at the time, I'm like, I was of the thought, like, maybe 50-50, maybe like
30-70?
Something like, yeah, she's like 5% talent.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, the thing
I've asked other people, and I've gotten lower answers. But
well, yeah, you can have a full career and not be
talent,
good.
I think like I said, there's so many funny people in Toronto. There's so many funny people in every...
Hard work beats talent when talent stops working hard. And I've seen it. I've been doing this shit for 13 years. I've seen guys where I was like, this guy's terrible. Work his balls off. The headlines, Toronto Yucks. Like, I've seen it now. I've literally seen people like, it's a crazy industry we're in because there's no... Okay, I do this new thing. I turned 40 last week. I now give younger people advice on how life gets better. Ask Ariel. It's just not only am I the funniest, I'm wise too. The reality of it is significant. How old are you?
25.
Dude, it gets so much better.
Nice.
When you hit 30, when you hit 30, it's
late
like
30s I'm entering late 30s, and it's my favorite time.
Okay, for 30, it's like you're a video game and you're collecting skills and tools, and when you're 30, they all make sense. Okay. And then when you hit 40, it's like This is
He
pretty
just
damn good.
turned 40, by
Just
the way.
turned 40,
Nice.
like
It's
6 days in.
Like 2 weeks ago. Now
Okay.
all of a sudden he's
Happy
like,
belated.
Thank
he's
you
got
very
this
much.
weird epiphany about
Yeah,
life.
yeah. He's Marcus Aurelius now. Yeah.
But the advice I wanted to give
He's
you
writing
guys,
his little journal every morning. Like,
the reality is,
Respect. Very
the
funny.
advice I wanted to give you guys and everyone else watching is there's no such thing as luck anymore. It's just opportunity meets timing. You know, you watch Tiger Woods, you watch Kobe Bryant, you watch the comics.
Yeah.
There's no luck to it. They've
Yeah.
worked really hard, and the opportunity now has reached the time.
yeah, absolutely. And
And it's a sad reality. That's all it is. You go to the
talent is the
casino.
baseline. Talent is the baseline.
Yes.
How many funny, very funny people have you seen here in any city you go to?
lot.
There's so many funny people.
A lot.
That is the
How many
that is
hardworking
the
people do you
price of
see?
entry.
How many hardworking people do you see? And you come
Fewer.
from a school background. How many people treat open mics like undergrad? How
Very
many
rare.
people treat book shows like a graduate? You know, how many people now treat the tour like a PhD? You
Right.
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're only 25, but like if you mirror this to school,
Yeah.
you know?
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I feel very lucky that I was taught that lesson very early by somebody that I'm like, oh, well, I did the show. I'm like, well, obviously you are where I want to be. So yeah, I'm going to listen to you and take that to heart. And that has paid dividends in only like, it hasn't even been that. And I'm going to continue try to have that mentality. And I see other people, it's just a pattern. I see other people that are doing well. And that is the like common factor. They're just working their ass off and they're thinking and they're trying and they're failing a lot. That's something I've learned this year too. Like you can look
It's
from
not,
the
don't
outside.
look at it as failure
Yeah, it's
though.
not
It's a
failure.
mistake.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
literally
that's
just
what I'm
learn
saying.
from it.
Dupes.
So many people
Yeah.
will make a mistake or like failing is actually quitting, you know?
Yeah.
The reality is so many people, we were caught up on this in our own lives and at the beginning of this journey.
Yeah.
Like our first club didn't work.
Yeah.
We opened a club for one night only. Instead of being like, oh man, our lives are over. We got up, we found a new club. You know, like
It would have been easy to quit.
here's the thing we remind
If you
ourselves
can't-
every
if
day.
you can't take a knock, this business is not for you, man. Like it's
If it was easy, everyone would do it.
yeah.
Every
I
day.
got
We
booed
said
off
that.
stage on Kill Tony a couple days
Oh,
ago.
I saw it.
and
I saw it. I was told.
Everybody knows.
I was
I know
told to not
everybody
bring it up.
knows. Yeah.
My
Yeah.
I
publicist.
didn't say not bring it up. I said
Yeah.
if he brings it up, we can talk about
Hey,
it.
we have
Yeah.
something in common. The biggest show I ever did. Now maybe similar levels now, but at the time I did the roast of the Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
I got booed off stage, and it was also in front of Tony Hinchcliffe.
Nice.
Okay.
Good job.
I've
Yes.
never even performed in front of Tony, so.
So
Yeah,
how did you
that's-
know how to rip off his whole act?
Yeah. No, but the thing you realize is that okay, even given the there's so many.
Yeah, you weren't set up to
Bro, you were set up to
succeed.
fail. Like, no disrespect. I know that guy after you did well, and it was an interesting set, but
Yeah.
like, that
Yeah.
wasn't. As comedy owners and as guys that run hosting, and I think Tony kept his energy well. But at the time you went on, Red Band wanted to go home.
Yeah, I got
the ghosts
too clapped.
retired.
Dude, Red Band was
It
trying to
like-
end that show
Can I
like
ask a question?
20.
What's the deal with your fucking bomb save? What was that middle like?
Yeah.
What did you say in the middle about tickling immigrants? And what does
I
it
don't know.
mean?
I don't know.
You were
Okay.
just in the
Yeah,
panic.
yeah,
of it.
Okay, because in my world,
It wasn't
that's
even a
not-
panic. I was just like, I still like it's a little save I have. Like if something doesn't get a laugh, I'm like, oh, whatever. It's like
But
I've
what
done
was
it.
the whatever? Because I feel stupid. Because in my like we analyze comedy. That's our job.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, again,
He also
you're-
loves the show.
I mean,
Yeah.
looking
Dude, I
back,
ripped it
I could
off.
have done in that situation. You either go full tilt, and I at
I
that
thought
point it was
cool
like
that
5 pulls at a time.
I thought it was cool that you weaved. I thought it was cool you showed us your personality.
Yeah.
But then when you were like, "Oh yeah, there's immigrants in the back, I'm gonna tickle," I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
"What?" Like I just thought that I missed something. You're
It's-
telling me that we're on the same page, and what happened?
It was
happened.
it was 30 seconds.
how do you feel about it?
What would you do different?
No, how do you feel
Yeah,
about
that
it?
was
first?
just a follow up.
How do I feel about? I mean, it was 30 seconds. It's not a big deal. Like it's
Yeah.
that's another thing too that like I mean you'll see that here especially like Kill Tony say, and it is a huge show, but like everybody in the Austin scene has done Kill Tony 5 times, and like 2 days later I saw Tony and he came up to me, he's like, hey, what's up, good to see you, welcome back, because I've done shows
Like
with
you
that
said, there's
guy.
no failing. It's all just like
it doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like,
Dom Perret.
and it'll be a
It
great
doesn't
story
matter.
in 5 years or 10
Dude,
years.
it's a great
whenever.
story now.
Yeah.
You go back and you crush it next time. And
Yeah,
it's like,
and
"Wow."
yeah, exactly. So it's not, and like it's
So many acts that night, man.
yeah,
That
it
was
was a lot. It was a
wild.
record-breaking episode.
wild.
It was pretty wild, and it was. I mean, yeah, it's. I don't know how. Like, I don't know. It's just comedy. Like, I don't know how to feel
I
about
think you're
it.
saying everything the best. Like, you know, it's one of those things where,
Yeah.
like, best case scenario,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
get
yeah.
booked once every 6 months. You're gonna go back before then.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not.
So I'll probably be back, and I'll have a good set, and maybe I'll bring it up.
How many people were in
maybe
the
not.
audience?
I mean, it's in the Fat Man, so it's like 300 people or like 2 something.
Beautiful venue.
So it's not. It's a great venue, and you know, I've done it before, so I've had experience. It was just a very bad like what do you do like when you're at that point of the night? I was second last to get pulled. You get pulled in a. It's not normally Kiltony is 5 people at a time, and in this scenario, it was like it's
Thunder
like an
round?
episode is the lightning round. But,
Lightning round.
Normally Kiltony is like 7 pulls per episode. And at this point of the night, people were getting pulled like 5 at a time. And everybody in the bar was like, because you're at a bar across the street where nobody knows what's going on. You don't know the context of the show, which is what the worst part is too.
Because you're not watching the show.
You're not watching the show. You don't know what's going on. You don't know who the
Can
guest
you go
is.
like, you can't go on your phone because it doesn't come out until 9
No,
p.m.
it doesn't
and
come.
it's fucking 3
No, it
3
doesn't
weeks
come out
earlier.
until 2 weeks
Yeah, it's
later.
like
Yeah.
fucking-
So you don't know anything.
So you're kind of screwed regardless because you're going in cold.
So everybody's going in, coming out.
cold. Like you're going.
That night especially, like on a good night, people go in, they're in for like 20 minutes, they come out, how's your set, who's on the panel, you get some info, whatever you can. I don't even usually try to listen to that because I'm just like, whatever, I'll just have fun, do
Whatever
my thing.
happens.
Yeah, and then this night, people are going in 30 seconds later, they're coming back out, they're like, what's going on? And people are like, everybody's like, oh, it's rough in there. And then at a certain point in the night, it's not 1 bucket pull at a time. It was like 3, 4, 5 bucket pulls at a time. So I'm like, I was talking to one guy right before I got pulled. I'm like, dude, if they pull my name, I'm hiding in that trash can. And they go, Matt Puzhitsky, you're on. And I'm like, fuck. Oh. So at this point, I'm like, do I do the minute I wanted to do? Do I do like a whatever minute? Because I'm like, I'm almost already like.
This is awesome. I think whoever's listening or you take the idea, one of Matt's comedy dorks in Austin, take a camera, start filming the behind the scenes of Kill Tony at Kill Tony.
Oh, there's people that do that.
The percentages you guys would give me, give to Tony. No disrespect, not my lane.
There's people that do that. Yeah.
Because what you're saying is crazy. I never would think like you're right. We're kind of still a team. So like you're gonna come out and be like, hey, this is the guest.
Yeah,
oh shit, this guy just did this.
Yeah.
Oh man, I tried. What were your jokes? Like you don't want your other people to fail. Like you know what I'm saying? Like that's the coolest thing about comedy.
Yeah.
You will meet 2 types of comics. Mm-hmm. You'll meet comics that book people they think they're better than, so they're the best on the show. And you'll meet comics that are like, let's put on the best show possible.
Yeah.
So it's cool that like during that event, there's actually layers of it on the other side, you know?
Yeah. So no, it was an interesting experience. I wish I wasn't pulled at that time, but I was, and that's what happens. And I wish I was pulled the next week so I can do another minute and redeem myself, but
he's got a crazy memory.
One day,
He'll like Tony will like read the name. He's like, oh, I know this person, or like he'll see, oh, hey, Matt. It's just like,
well,
dude, you see hundreds of people.
I've met Tony a ton of times. I'm pretty sure he knew me when I was getting out, when I came out, even though he fucked up my last name.
Do you think he watches your podcast?
No, there's no chance.
Hey, Tony.
Yeah,
what's up, Tony? We stole your show.
Yeah,
I didn't think he was gonna watch this far in.
No.
Hey, Tony.
Yeah, no, it was
Hey, Green Band.
Hey, guys.
It was a wild experience, and like it's crazy the amount. Like I was more obviously, it was a little like shocking after like the day after, but then I just went back and I did a ton more shows, and there was people going like, literally like. Whatever, like they because they understand the context too, right? And even if people clip it, it's kind of like, I don't know, I like seeing my favorite comedians talk about their worst bomb stories. It's always fun because everybody has them,
and you've got yours.
You're not you're not a real comic if you haven't bombed.
Yeah,
that's the reality of the game.
Yeah, and if it was also such a forgettable like slot in the episode that the only comments I got online, and I did go out of my way to read them, were only positive. Like I didn't get a chance.
The redemption story's dope too. You keep like you're an MMA fighter. You come from an intellectual background.
I bet the next
you
time
said at the beginning. You said at the beginning
I was,
of the episode, your parents used
my
to beat you down. You're not quitting. This isn't like this is all just part of the journey.
Oh, you think that hurt? Wait till you see what my dad did to me with his fist.
What my mom said to me.
No, and that is the other thing about it is that like literally the next night I was back at the like that same night I did a spot at like an actual book spot at the mothership.
Game. That's what people like.
So
I don't think people understand it. And then you're gonna have people in our scene, and I'm sure there's people that gave you slack just cause. But like at the end of the day, you don't give people shit that are doing things that like. You don't shit on people you respect. Like, yeah, we do. We're comics. Like, you know, when people hear I'm not gonna start name dropping, we shit talk. It's our industry. But like, dude, to see your name get pulled and see you walk out, it's like Toronto what? Like this guy, no matter how you did there, it's like this guy performs at Backroom Comedy Club. The same people on the fucking Mothership and on Kill Tony perform, like, it's dope as fuck.
Yeah. I mean,
could have done better though. Let's be real.
Yeah, for sure. I could have done it. I don't know. I thought, if you don't think I've thought about every single scenario, what I could have done differently.
The way your brain works too. You're an engineer.
I don't think there is anything. I think at a certain point, it's diminishing returns. It happened, and then I know,
I don't know what I would have done in that scenario. You were in a lightning round. There was like 20 comics.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted to go home. Honestly, I might have done that whole thing where I just stood there and did nothing.
I got a reaction.
You did. You had 300 people booing you.
I would have booed them.
Yeah.
Yeah, booed them back.
I got a reaction.
Yeah, that's what I did at the Iron Sheik roast.
Yeah.
They booed me, I booed them, and then I started being like, fuck. I did the Iron Sheik, like, fuck you, fuck Hulk Hogan. And it was just, I lost it.
Sick.
Yeah, man.
This was dope. So how long do these episodes usually go?
I don't know, however long we feel like. It's been 50 minutes, so I guess here, one more question that I'll ask you guys.
The open micers don't sell any tickets. We can just run your pod and make them watch it.
There we go. Yeah, we had some audience in and out. We can make them pay to
watch it, to be honest. Chanel, you do well.
Where's Chanel? He was right there in a second. Yeah. No, yeah, it's interesting running a show like that too, because it's like you guys, you do it here with the open micers. You don't know who's gonna come, what's gonna happen. So it was just one of those nights. How do you guys, as the hosts? That's another thing I'll give Tony too. That format that he's fucking shot up to the moon, because it's its own thing now, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy how
mystery.
like with comedy too, people are like, oh, like so many, like my grandma probably knows Kill Tony at this point. You know what I mean?
So many people don't, man. Like we'll tell people about our open mic. We're like, have you seen the show Kill Tony? And they're like, what?
Yeah.
Well, the reality of it is it's the modern day talk show. They're still Fallon, there's still Kimmel, there's still that. But for and with this new generation, it's like Star Search. They have the opportunity that they might have a killer set. Like look at Drew Wickens, look at fucking Jared. People get discovered and it changes lives. Yeah. So the reality of it is it's cool. And then when you say, well, how do we deal? We make jokes that we ripped off Kill Tony. The reason we're successful people, I'm going to say successful loosely or knock on wood, but the reality is we do what we love, so we're successful. The reason it's working is
there's a lot of emotion in that 10-second window.
But the reason this is working for us is that we've taken an idea, the whole panel show, and giving people opportunities to get seen and made it our own.
Yeah.
So it's little things where Tony's 60 seconds uninterrupted. Yeah. We do 90 seconds. Tony does an actual interview where he gets to know them and tries to show them, hey, this is what you should be talking about. Yeah. We'll actually tell you why your jokes are shit. Yeah. We'll give you feedback.
Really, we wanted to do an open mic here.
No, we didn't.
No, we wanted the idea of how do we include everyone not seeing.
How do we open the door to the community?
And then, because that in turn makes better comics, in turn makes our shows better, in turn they might bring people, in turn. And so we were like, but the problem is I'm not going to sit here and watch a generic open mic.
Yeah.
And we know open mics don't make money. We know that.
They don't make money. Even our open mic doesn't make money.
So we had to think of, in our worlds, how do we do this?
So, and Brandon is such a fan of Kill Tony. Mm-hmm. He was like, well, why don't we mimic it? Why don't we take elements of it that we like and do our own version? And it was
And now we don't
that's how a lot of the best ideas are formed. And I think Kill Tony also was kind of like a melding of a couple of shows. I'm not into the history of it, but I know there's some people say there was a show that was kind of like it, and then
American Idol. Oh, you're saying the Tony,
all the best. At this point, no ideas are original. It's just a mixture of things you've seen before.
Matt's been doing psychedelics.
By the way, a part of the
you should call the episode that
psychedelics.
No, Matt's been doing psychedelics.
No, but you're right, 100% with everything you're saying. But what we did is if you meet Ariel's personality, he's a lot like Simon Cowell. He's very real with people. He doesn't care if he makes them cry. He does, but he doesn't. He's a monster. And then with me, I'm kind of like Gordon Ramsay, where I'm here to support you, but if you're being a dumb idiot sandwich, I'm going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think real kindness is
it's not real.
It's
not sincere.
It might hurt you.
Okay.
Right? That's what kindness is. Kindness isn't.
It's sugar.
Right? It's not. Because people are nice and they're like, how often do you come off stage and someone's like, good set, and you just suck dick, and you suck dick. And it was like, yo,
you know how condescending it is when someone says nice set when it wasn't they can say good set, but when someone's like, man, you're shut up.
That sucks. As a comedian, you have the levels now of you can gauge your set. First of all, you know how you did in your own heart, but then you can gauge the set based off of the reactions, and you can code them now. And we're
not trying to be we're not trying to say don't be modest and be mean. It's just that we don't. Ariel read a book.
My favorite is when I'm standing beside another comic on the show, and then a audience member comes up and says good sets to them and just keeps walking. And you're right there like,
that's honestly anyone at home that's never done stand up, that's the worst feeling you can ever have.
No.
Dude,
bombing.
because bombing, but then
the bomb is worse.
The bomb's bad, but then after the bomb to be like, oh, thank God it's over. And then someone would be like, Ariel, you're great. And then look me up and down and kind of like
and
look at me like I'm a human fart.
Just bomb.
But they look at you like you're a fart.
You just bomb.
Yes, but the bomb itself
You deserve that.
They're all an extension of the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the game. And then with that format, it's just like, it's kind of cool what's happening. We're developing talent. We're meeting people. What we do that's kind of different, like Tony and Red Band book people for the Secret Show and maybe theaters. We book people that week.
Red Band books the Secret Show. Tony has nothing to do with it.
Well, he usually goes Red Band. Like, he's like, Red Band.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, with us, it's just we made it adaptable to us.
It's so interesting to me being in I feel like I'm more in the Austin scene almost than I am in Toronto at this point, and it's like it's so interesting seeing what people think about like the Kill Tony universe because it's so big and how big they make it, and then actually going there and seeing like what it actually is. You know what I mean? And it's like. It's just very different. It's very different.
I worked on Big Brother Canada, so it's one of those things where like that's one of the reasons why I like Kill Tony so much, and I love wrestling.
Yeah,
and Tony is like
Tony's he's a wrestling guy.
No, but you can see like so with the average people, they're like, oh my God, the girlfriend and the boyfriend got picked back to back, and it's like, guys, enjoy the show. Just enjoy your show. You know, like it's a television.
There's a lot of very funny people in Austin that won't do Kill Tony because it's so much of a risk.
I've also heard they won't do it because it's just like the actual Austin scene is like, we were here first. This isn't the industry.
I mean, no, the Austin scene. There's a few comics that are salty about what happened in Austin, but most of the Austin scene is migrants, people that came from other scenes. If you're a good comic,
it will help your career. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a worthwhile gamble. Like, you know, if I knew what would have happened that night, I wouldn't have done it that night. But I'm still like, next time I'm gonna go. I'm signing up.
Honestly, we're not great friends. I don't know you well, but I think if you went back in time, or like somehow you woke up the day of and that day played out, I think you'd try to get your redemption. You seem like a fighter. Like I know we just talked about it, but you don't seem like the kind of guy that like wouldn't show up at the event that day.
Yeah, like
you seem like the kind of guy that would wake up, jump in the shower, write your jokes. Like, let's try this. Like if it was Groundhog Day and you had to relive that every day for the rest of your life, you're doing it. Like you're not quitting.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then again, knowing the context of the show, I know exactly what I do now. But I didn't know the context, so I made some mistakes.
You don't seem like the reason it's cool is that, and the reason we can make fun of you is that you're a fighter. You can take it.
I don't care.
You could beat us up right now.
No, but you can take it. It's one of those things where it's like, at the same time.
We're two Jews. We're not going to put up much fight.
You know, the thing about fighting, too, is that when people like, you can beat us, like when I think I was more, I started fighting at a really young age, but what fighting does to you, like a lot of things are paralleled, but once you get better at fighting, you actually not become more of a pussy, but you become more aware of like the reality of it, and you become less like, I'm not the guy at a bar that is going to be like, you know, picking a fight. Let's go. Yeah. That's going to be that's the guy that's never fought in his life.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the guy that's trying to do the last thing I'm going to do is actually fight. You know what I mean?
Ariel knows this. I was a child taekwondo kid.
Yeah.
I ended up getting like a junior black belt.
Nice.
And I remember in school, like grade 9, 10 kids would try to bully me because they'd find out.
Yeah.
And I would literally just like flip them over a desk and then just like walk away. Because it was like the last thing I want is to A, get my ass kicked with a black belt. Because then it's just like, this feels stupid. And then B, it's like, I wasn't trained to fight. I was trained to defend. You know? Like I wasn't trained. I wasn't here like, oh, let's break this guy's nose. It was like, no, this guy's going to like stab me with the knife. I need to disarm knife.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
no, but that's what you learn. Like fighting is also really cool. It's humbling. It's humbling. You get your ass, you like stand up. Like stand up. Yeah. You have to eat a lot of shit before you get good. And it's
not for you.
It's more physical. That's actually,
I'm probably the worst fighter of all time.
I think that's helped me in everything I've done, whether it's stand up and like any other sport I've played or anything scary that I've ever done. Like I've had to, like I was doing it competitively, right? Like I've done judo competitively and I've done Muay Thai competitively. So I've had to I've had to get in a ring, and it's like if you don't perform right now, you're literally getting knocked in the face.
You're
So I think that made getting booed by 300 people not as bad as
you guys hearing that?
Yeah.
No knee to the face.
To prepare for Kill Tony, get into Muay Thai classes.
Yeah.
Actually, reach out to my friend Jeff, Lovin' Muay Thai on my Instagram, and he will help you out.
Sure. Yeah. York Muay Thai. Actually, they're the best.
Sure, I'm kind of kidding.
I'm gonna promote my gym. Thank you very much. But I'm sure Jeff is okay.
Jeff don't.
I'm gonna promote tennis. It's a much better sport.
Tennis is great. We've played it.
You literally have a chance to promote your trainer who does Muay Thai.
Oh yeah,
you mean Kyle Lee, who doesn't live here?
He's been on the podcast. Yeah.
Sick. So we're not so Ariel isn't the second funniest person who's been on this podcast.
Yeah. I played squash.
Squash is dope.
Yeah, squash is fun. But I like tennis more.
Yeah.
You guys play against each other yet?
We haven't. I've never played.
Do you know Ariel plays?
We play tennis.
We play tennis.
Okay.
Yeah. But
is that how we got invited here?
No, he's promoting his
Am
show.
I part of some sort of losing
He's promoting his 2020 show here, April 24th with Alex DeWitt.
Yes.
We've been over this.
Yes,
but I've been playing squash because tennis, it's too cold to play tennis now. And it's fun. And it gets like the same kind of competitive, with my buddies, competitive juices flowing. But I don't know. Tennis is just, it's good.
You look like a squash player. Like goggles, man bun, just like.
Well, I use my glasses when I play squash, but not because I don't think it actually does anything to protect.
It's better than
no.
Ball.
Yeah, exactly.
If you get hit no glasses, it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
As a pothead, the reaction time in squash is like, I don't know why we don't see competitive squash at like.
But they gotta get high first.
Like, why doesn't Red Bull sponsor fucking squash? That's an intense
squash
sport.
Is a lot. Yes, the reaction it does help. Like,
it's just cool to watch. Where it's just like, holy shit, these guys are on it, or gals.
Yeah.
Or
but my body, like. I probably talked to you about this before. I read some article somewhere at some point that said squash athletes, like the high level ones, are the most well-rounded athletes of like any sport, which really surprised me. But having played squash, like I've been doing some kind of athletic pursuit my whole life, so I don't get sore from a lot. Like I'll play like tennis or do rock climbing or whatever, and my friends are like, "Oh, I'm so sore from yesterday." I'm usually okay, but like the other day I played squash for like 3 hours with my friends because we had some money on the line, and we went all out, and my body still hurts.
Yeah.
Well, so squash has a lot of elements. There's like in basketball or let's say football, the speed burst with the whistle. Like squash, you're going at all times, and you're going at a high level, and you're just turning it on. You're not like cooling down. You're always like like with tennis, you like I don't play, I watch, but there's that time you see that.
Yeah, you get
right. There's more breaks in the action.
There's literally like there's no whistle. It's like you go until the ball. I'm not talking to the mic anymore. You're going until the ball's dead. Mm-hmm. So it's like think of that. There's cardio. There's the power. Like there's a lot of elements in squash.
And pickleball and padel are now gaining traction. What do you think?
Padel's fun.
What's padel?
Padel is like a cross of racquetball, tennis, and pickleball. And it's just high paced, real fun.
When's badminton coming back?
And squash, right? Because it bounces off
squash.
the wall.
When is badminton coming back, boys?
Badminton's never died, bro. In Asia, badminton is huge.
Well, good.
Like it's actually the most played racket sport in Asia.
Well, good. Yeah. Is pickleball Patel? Isn't Patel like a family in India?
Padel.
It's Mexican.
Yeah, is it Mexican?
Yeah,
I thought it was big. I thought it was like European or something.
It started in Mexico.
Do they all need different rackets?
Padel, yeah.
I'm gonna say big racket company. It's all scam, so you all buy all different rackets.
Big racket,
different sports.
You guys ever play frisbee golf or disc golf?
No, but
when you're a professional, I'm not by any means, but I have friends that play. You need different disc sizes, and like the better you get at something, scam. That's why buy comedy tickets.
Not a scam. Buy comedy tickets to see Matt specifically.
Yeah,
and Alex do it,
and
Brandon and
we'll be on the show.
One of us will be here.
Well, if he sells out, we'll both be here.
There we go.
If you all come.
And I like what you guys are doing with the promotion of it, because you're like, all right, we're gonna meet up, we're gonna write some skits, we're gonna post them. Yeah, that's how you sell out a show, basically. Yeah,
that's one. We want
to be 6 weeks ahead. Sure. Like we've learned things along the way.
Yeah, you got to be start announcing 6 weeks ahead and start promoting. What it takes is like just everyday plugging. I just did this with a comic who's about to announce he's doing a special somewhere, and he's spending a lot of money. And when I broke it down to him, I was like, dude, between now and then, it's 8 tickets a day. You got to sell 8 tickets a day.
Yeah, if
what are you
gonna
do? Yeah. What are you gonna do to sell 8 tickets today?
And then this is
all you have to do.
This is where the industry conversation gets weird, because in our world, as performers, as Jews, as however you want to look at it, we want to sell the most tickets to perform in front of the most people and make the most money.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that are like, well, my merit and how I am at comedy, I don't have to sell tickets, and that's great. You're going to have a great career at Yuck Yucks or a great career doing your thing. But at Backroom Comedy Club,
that ain't flying.
We're here to sell tickets. We're here to actually mentor people and be like, hey, let us help you sell tickets.
No, that is the name of the game.
If you can't sell tickets, good luck this Like you said before, how much of it is talent and how much of it is actual work.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about like, I think, I don't know what it is with Yuck Yucks, and I'm still here, so I don't want to talk too much shit about Yuck Yucks, but I'll talk shit about Yuck Yucks.
I'll tell you whatever you want to know about Yuck Yucks, but I want to talk shit about Yuck Yucks.
Well, we don't need to talk shit because we both worked at Yuck Yucks. We both had great relationships while we worked at Yuck Yucks. He was the booker, I was a doorman. When I started, like, let's be real, every guy or comedian that gets into comedy in Canada, that's the dream. That first time you get on that Yucks Toronto stage, it's like, all of my idols did this, you know?
Yeah,
it's like,
no, for sure.
It's like a big part of Canadian hit. Like without Yuck Yucks, there's no Canadian comedy.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know?
But the funny thing, the common denominator between all the people that did Yuck Yucks is also all of them fucking left Yuck Yucks.
Yeah, but they all left with black belts in Canadian comedy.
That's true. That's true.
Yuck Yucks is
or diplomas.
It's a stepping stone. Yeah.
How you can achieve.
Once you sign to Yuck Yucks, you've proven you're the best in Canada.
I just think they have a great stage. They sell tickets here, and I'm like, they're kind of stuck in the past. I don't see what they're doing. They have talent. They have a stage. Why don't you get a camera and do what you guys do? You have Backroom Comedy Club, and you have a camera. You're posting clips online, right? How like you always see clips of the funniest people posting from like the Cellar in New York, right? Background the Cellar. Like it's all right there.
It's like you said, it's dated.
You know, Bankus did it for himself at Yuck Yucks.
Well, Yucks gives you that opportunity that if you're, they say nowadays a genius or being brilliant is your ability to adapt. So someone like Bankus took it by the balls and did it.
Oh yeah.
Someone like if they're not going to do it for you, maybe it's a blessing.
He used the stage time that he had at Yuck Yucks to do that.
But maybe it's a blessing. Maybe that's the way the system's built. Is like Yuck Yucks will give you the stage and the audience.
But if whoever's running social or whoever is like the deciding,
it's also
those
really
things
hard.
I mean, if you want to know, though, I can answer this question.
Well, we don't even have it. Doesn't matter.
I can just break it down for you.
Sure.
The business
He makes
model
content.
is not that.
Yeah.
Their business model is franchise out locations.
Okay.
To make money off other people doing the work.
Satellite shows too.
Right.
Satellite shows as well.
Uh-huh.
So
they just put on
that's
dope ass
their
comedy
business model.
shows.
So
That's it.
marketing to like they're more and every franchise is owned by someone else.
Right.
So it's it's rarely on the franchisee if that's how they want to market their club.
Right.
And it doesn't
They
do the
could do it that
franchisee anything good for like them to now have it you blow up and you're no longer at value to them.
Exactly.
You're now going on to bigger and better
So it's
things.
like their marketing dollars and their ad spend and stuff is better to go to like.
So they're like a real estate company, really.
Yeah, really.
Like McDonald's,
It's like it's like
basically,
a McDonald's where it's like and so
They don't sell burgers. They sell
and so,
land,
don't get me wrong,
brick and mortar.
Don't get me wrong. Do I think Yucks could do more in that space? Absolutely.
Yeah,
But they're also a limited team with a limited resource.
Right.
Like us, we're a limited team with a limited resource. There's only so much that can get done in the day. Like people always ask us, "Oh, why can't I get my full set?" It's like, do you understand how much of a job data management is?
Yeah.
Do you understand that every show is like an 80 gig file?
Like we don't have a server. We don't have
That-
someone at the end of the show takes
they
the
don't get
footage,
it.
puts it on a server, cuts it up for you.
Yeah, it's wild.
We don't have
Sure.
a guy timekeeping.
Yeah, it's wild.
But the reality of it is it's like it's work, and not everyone's going to do it. And I tell Ariel every day, if it was easy, everyone would do it. We're one of the fortunate people. I always make jokes to Ariel like, "Hey, I'd rather be a plumber. If this doesn't work, I'll be a plumber." The other day, I plugged the toilet so bad, I'm not being a plumber.
Yeah.
This is what I do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and all the talk we've had just now about business, it always comes back to that. Like, why do you actually Creek and Cave in Austin? They have a really cool some clubs in the green room, they have like a little like saying on the wall or like whatever quotes they have. They have remember why you do this.
Yeah,
And
great
of
one.
all the green rooms I've been in, like motherships like get it together bitch or whatever, and some of them are funny, some of them
Ours would say it doesn't have to be this way.
yeah.
You're just being hilarious, but that is the trick to life right there. Is that like I used to do face-to-face sales. I still do. I sell comedy show tickets.
Yeah.
They tell you in the 8 secrets to success. Step 7 is that. Why do you do this? Why do you get up better in the morning?
Yeah.
When you do another thing we've been doing recently too is we work with a CEO company. We work with these people. It's like why like people forget that. That is so important. The why you're doing it.
Why
You
is
talk to
very
comics.
important.
A lot of comics are
same with
like,
material.
"Oh, I want to keep up
Why?
with my friends. Oh, I want an hour. Oh, I want to get signed by Yucks," and then they're just the same material for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's no one's fault. It's just that you are in control of that, and you have to know what your thing is. We're lucky. Everyone looks at us and they're like, "Oh, you guys got lucky. You found each other." We're not best friends that one of us wanted to do stand up and that happened. We're two guys that live completely different lives, found each other with a similar goal, and now this has happened.
Yeah.
This isn't like I'm Ariel's lackey, he's my lackey. We had a similar goal, like a group of like-minded people.
Our workloads.
Yeah, I work really hard. You know?
Yeah.
Where are my posters?
Yeah, no, for sure. There's a really I can't remember, but it's a really
DK just
famous
gave us the
quote.
light.
It's like he who has a why can bear almost anyhow, right? Like it's and
That's a great quote.
It's
Is that Marcus Aurelius? Or I'll stop.
No, it's not. It's not Mark. It's some French dude, some French guy.
Some Frenchie.
Yeah.
God, with that bidet,
right?
Cleaning his asshole.
It almost makes me not want but it's a really good quote. We'll give it to them. You guys got one. So, but that's another thing. Before I forget, you guys are good friends, and how did you meet each other, and how do you balance like friendship and business and all that stuff? Because
we met at a show.
I have to tell the story, or
don't have time to go.
Long story short,
the full story,
Ariel was an opening. I used to have a show in Brantford, Ontario. We'd show 55 seats. One night it was standing room only. The guy I booked to headline was like, "Hey, I have a friend who I want to be my opener. We're really good friends, but I think you guys will hit it off too." Ariel got a standing ovation that night.
Nice.
Like, this is a real, like, it sounds fake.
Only one to date.
Okay.
55 people on their feet standing.
To the
point where, like, the guy that I booked to be the closing,
he couldn't perform.
I couldn't imagine how their drive home was.
He couldn't perform.
We just make jokes about your kill Tony. Imagine the guy before you gets a standing ovation, and then they said,
I would have preferred that, actually. Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
But it was.
That's how we became friends, and then I moved to Toronto, and then we had a lot in common. We realized we would hang out at the corner. Ariel was a regular there, and then I was just new to Toronto. I actually went to buy weed, got a set, fell in love with comedy again. We would hang out. Ariel, I always blow it out of the water, but Ariel tells me that, like, when it comes to actually being funny, I'm up there, where it's just like...
Yeah, there was no one... I would, like, just, you can tell when you talk to them off stage and how much fun you have with them. And how much they make you laugh, and then you would watch these people on stage, and you're like,
"What happened?"
There's like a disconnect,
right?
Yeah, and with Brandon, it was quite large because it was like we would hang out all day, we'd have so much fun. He'd go on stage, and it would morph.
Shitty puns.
And I was just like, just like, nah, dude, this gotta change.
So this whole system, and like we've been through a lot since, but like. Ariel took me from like amateur semi-pro to the real deal. And then we look back.
While doing it for myself too.
And we look back, and I helped with it too.
Yeah.
But it's like where we're at now is that's where this whole model started. It's like anyone that saw me from day one or when I moved to Toronto to where I'm at now, or even with Ariel's help, it's like Backroom Comedy Club is only as funny as the two of us. Now we're learning that if we ever want to open up more.
How do we navigate it now? Is our dynamic is... We have a quote within our business that we're friends first.
Used to be the quote.
Yeah. I've heard you guys say that.
It still is.
It still is. That bleeds through the entire business.
Well, that was at the beginning when we would fight or we would see differences.
It's we shouldn't fight because we're friends.
Well, we don't anymore.
Yeah. And so within that friendship, it's like nothing I say to you should be a fight because we are friends. And true friends tell each other the truth. So it's like, hey man, you're not working hard enough. Hey man, you're fucking up. Hey man, you're being a bad dude. Hey man,
But we're not afraid to have those talks. Yeah. We're not afraid to tell the other one how we feel.
That's how we talk about it to each other.
If you guys think we're mean to you guys or we're very transparent with you guys, you should hear how we talk to each other. Like today before we got here, I was just calling him on some shit. And then before that, on drives home, like tonight at some point, he's gonna be like, "Yeah, funny." Like after I bomb at the open mic, he's gonna be like, "Funniest guy ever."
Yeah,
bombing at his own open mic.
Yeah.
So it's like where we're at is just like we treat each other the way we wish anyone would treat us, and we keep it real. If we ever give someone feedback or we're ever coming off rude, try to look at it from our lens. We're like, we're just trying to save you years. When we opened this comedy club, I didn't open it so Matt Puzhitsky could go be at Madison Square Garden. But 3 years later, it's like that's pretty fucking cool, Matt Puzhitsky. That's where we're at now. Where it's like, holy shit.
That's very important to be direct. What you guys were saying, and I think coming from like a Russian background, and I think about right away the relationship I have with my wife. The reason it works very well because we're able to be direct.
There's no eggshells.
There's no tiptoe, and not get mad at each other because if you
get mad, that the greater goal is each other, in that you're both contributing to something bigger than how someone can feel for a second.
Because outside of that, you like everybody, with your acquaintances or whatever, you're everybody's nice to each other. It's like you did a good job.
That. Yeah, that's one of my least favorite things.
But that's life, right?
It's like that's a playful.
This came up earlier. Ariel read a book. Now Ariel's always been kind of a dick, but like he read a book where it was like, what was
it's called The Courage to be Disliked, and it because I'm already a very disliked person, and so then I was dealing with it in my life. Like how do I do this? How do I go? Like I would walk into rooms where people hate me, and it's like okay,
sorry for laughing. But
how do I now
navigate.
Because emotionally, that's rough. Like, you know people hate you. For a fact, there's no argument.
Yeah.
And then they always, the advice is always don't think about what other people think about you. But hate is visceral, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I not think
Well, he's in a
about
different situation because most people, they'll be like, it's all in your head. But then it's like we go into rooms and people physically will like, ugh, or like walk out. And it's like, okay, it's not in your head.
It's not in my
He would
head.
tell me when I moved to Toronto, he's like, hey, if we're going to be friends, there's people that don't like me. And I'm like, you're insane. And then we'd go places and people would walk out. And it's like the movie Mean Girls. We
So
were
how
literally
did
Lindsay Lohan at the
how did you
beginning.
learn to deal with it? Would you digest that?
I mean, I still deal with it. It's
Yeah.
hard. I have days where I'm strong, days where I'm weak.
Yeah.
But really,
Gay? Sorry.
but really, it's about, within that book, what that book taught me was, well, nobody can take it from you if you feel a certain way about yourself.
Yeah.
So all they were doing was reflecting back that I also hated myself.
Right.
And so confronting it, like going into rooms, it was like, oh, they hate me and I hate me. What's the point?
Well,
Yeah.
it's more
And
when
so
you look
then
back.
it's like, oh, how do I start liking myself? Well, I kind of like that I'm confrontational. Right?
Yeah.
I kind of like that about myself, that I'm not afraid to be like, what the fuck did you just say, dickhead?
Yeah,
Oh, you want to start? Fine, I'll start.
Yeah.
Like, let's go. Like, I'm not afraid of you.
We're not fighters, we're talkers.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
for our background and shit like that, like, as men, you get respect for two ways. You either beat someone's ass or you're very good with your words.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate. Like, I make jokes around the club that Ariel speaks Queen's English, but he's misunderstood in the sense where he comes from South Africa. So when he says certain things, the tone, he's not trying to be like, fuck you, you're a peasant.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's what people hear. And it's like, he's not saying
Well,
that.
but they don't hear their own tone first, or they don't think about what they've said first. And that's one of my surefire triggers.
So you're saying it's about your relationship with yourself, right? In your
Yeah.
own head. That's prioritizing that over what other people, because that can easily
Every
get
day.
in your head. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. okay.
That's and always my first and foremost focus.
Yeah.
I just focus on my relationship with myself.
Yeah.
And benefits come from when it's positive.
Not to bring it back to Marcus Aurelius, but
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
and-
I have
yeah.
listened to the meditation.
exactly.
So.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite. I've read it, I think, 5 times in the past 3 years, and it's the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest theme in there is the is your judgment of things is what you can control, right?
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
the thing itself.
And your reaction to
We're,
things,
your
we're at
reaction,
now,
yeah.
too. It's just like...
which I'm so bad
And
at.
again,
Yeah.
this is me as a 40-year-old man giving advice again, okay? But like,
Nice.
it's all energy and attitude. So if
Yeah.
you go in there and your attitude shit and your energy shit, you're gonna have a
Yeah.
bad day.
Yeah.
We've seen it. If we go out
We
there,
do it, yeah.
like we do it all the time. But it's just like how you carry yourself, and then that carries on. Like
Well,
the
like
more we did it is when Ariel finally realized, like, sure, there are people that don't like him or are jealous, but the
there are
reality
just as
of it
many
is-
who do
But the
like
reality
him.
is when you don't like yourself and you're giving off a stink, it's not that people don't like you. It's just
Yeah.
that you don't like you. And the more he went to the gym and the more he liked himself, like, look at this place. You seeing the girls hitting on him at the end of shows? You seeing the dudes hitting on him and the thems hitting on him at the end of shows?
The
It's
dudes I've
happening.
seen, the girls not so much yet.
Yeah. I prefer it when the dudes do it, to be honest.
Because you know it won't
honestly-
go anywhere.
If you get hit on by a gay guy first in a weird way, it is worth a lot more.
Until
Yeah,
it
it's like,
gets aggressive.
ooh.
Yeah.
Once it gets aggressive,
That's true.
it's
Then you
because-
understand what the women are saying with the whole rape thing.
Totally.
Yeah, oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Now I
As
get
a
it.
5'4" man, yes. You know?
Yeah.
You want me to like and then when a man like stands over you and he's like okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Like
Hashtag me too. All right.
men too. Hashtag men too.
too.
I don't want to be a part of any of this.
Fair enough. Hey, we all brought up sore spots today.
Yeah, proud
Okay.
of both of you for bringing up. I'll tell you guys a little secret. I'm not the funniest guy in the world.
Oh
yet.
shit. Okay.
Yet. But at the end of this, by the time this podcast airs,
You got about a day and a
Still
half.
probably won't.
All right.
All right, guys.
Okay. That's it. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you so
on.
much. I like
April
how they-
24th.
April 24th. Come see Matt.
And Alex
killing
Duet
it.
Yeah, yeah.
here at Backroom Comedy
This was a
Club.
lot of fun. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate you.